They offered me this in Braille, but as blind people go, I'm pretty rubbish and I can't read any of that nonsense. So, Lee, will you please do me the honours and read what is on that card?
I certainly will. For a whole month, I thought my neighbour was ignoring me, and he thought I was ignoring him, until he found out I was blind, and I found out he was deaf.
David's team. So, he's your next-door neighbour, is that right?
Do you need me to read it again?
He's my neighbour, David.
Right.
There's 3 flats. I live in the middle, and he lives on the bottom.
And who lives upstairs?
A policeman.
And
he can't speak.
So, you thought he was being standoffish?
I thought he was being the rudest person that I've ever met. I was there, for example, on the day that he moved in, and I said hello to him, and he completely ignored me.
Maybe he didn't. Maybe he went...
Well, I don't know what you're doing, and... Gabby, you have perfectly highlighted exactly what probably happened.
So, he's deaf?
Yes.
But he can see?
Yeah, otherwise he'd be in real trouble, really.
Just because, wouldn't he see you saying hello to him?
Over the course of a month, there were separate incidents where we each thought the other was being rude. So, the first time that he was moving in, he was carrying boxes into the house, and I was halfway up the stairs. I shouted hello to him, and he never said anything back to me. And I thought, that's a bit rude,
and
isn't
you
it?
knew he was there just through hearing. You heard the sound, and you knew, that'll be the new bloke arriving.
Contrary to popular belief, deaf people do make a noise. But other occasions, I would be outside, like, doing something with the car. I like packing the car, unpacking the car, maybe doing
Not driving the car.
No, me wife has to do that for entirely legal reasons, Rob. I reckon I could probably do the motorways if they had them things off the bowling alley down the side. A number of times, he'd come back to the flat and he'd, like, waved and smiled at me, and I'd not known he was there and completely blanked him. And then I'd heard him walk past and I'd shouted hello to him, but I was talking to his back then, and he never answered me. And this went on for quite a while, really.
How did it resolve itself? Yeah. Did the policeman intervene and sort it out?
I called the police and he came down. Yeah. And then I had a hunch he must be deaf. I guessed that was the only possible, plausible option.
I'm exactly like that with my audiences when they're not laughing.
I actually bumped into his mum, who was visiting, and I said, like, he's deaf, isn't he? And she said, yeah.
That's a bold opening gambit.
We have each other's mobile numbers now, and so we're able to
Hang on, let me think about this for a second. How does he answer the phone?
We have text messages, Lee.
Right, you know the next question, don't you?
So... My phone talks, so it reads everything out, and if... And just to give you an insight, even the emojis, if you use an emoji, it tells you what the emoji is. And the smiley face, the main smiley face, specifically for blind people, that one is called smiling face with normal eyes. I don't know if I'm expected to use the smiling face as sunglasses, but it turns out as well, which took me by surprise, that he's Australian, which you associated with the accent, don't you? But, like, he's just Australian in his head.
This is becoming odd.
I mean, if any of this is offensive, they don't have to put it on the subtitles.
John, what are you thinking?
Well, I'm thinking, I don't know, I don't believe it.
You think he made that up?
What do you think, Gabby?
There's lots about it that I don't think is true.
You see, I believe it. I believe it, but
You believe it, they don't.
No, I'm not.
I'm not going to overrule my team, no.
No,
You haven't got the strength of character.
I do.
I don't feel strong enough about it to overrule.
No, I mean, it is plausible,
OK, we're going to say true.
Right, they're saying it's true. Chris, truth or lie?
It is 100% true.
To help me relax, there's nothing I like more than spending up to 4 hours.
Where's this going?
To help me relax, there's nothing I like more than spending up to 4 hours in what I like to call one of my special baths.
I rest my case.
Please, team.
OK. What is this special bath?
A special bath is when the lights are down low,
Yeah?
a candle is lit,
Yeah?
there's bubbles or salts, either. I have been known sometimes to watch Will I Lie to You in the bath.
In the
Watch
bath?
us in the bath.
Yeah.
Wow.
Can you see us in the bath?
No, he doesn't watch us in the bath.
Yeah.
He watches us in the bath.
I didn't know anyone knew we bathed together.
So, I mean, it's slightly annoying that I'm not watching this one in the bath now, because I'm sort of used to sitting with you all in the tub.
But you might in future watch this in the bath.
At some point.
So at the moment we're being watched by you.
It's like a particularly dull instalment of Back to the Future.
You say that, Rob, but for me, this is the most erotic conversation I've ever witnessed.
Yeah, but you are married to David. So the special bath involves candles, low light, iPad. Anything else?
I'll just sit there and I sort of sometimes have a glass of wine. You can float it in the water if you have I've perfected that.
Are we still talking about the wine?
Yes. Yes.
How do you float a glass of wine in the bath?
Well, you just balance
What are you
it.
resting it on?
It's simple physics. If you have the right amount of wine in it, it sits upright.
The stem must work as a sort of keel.
It does. It works.
Yeah.
You've done this before.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, and then also I enjoy having cheese in there with me as well. Cheese?
What's that floating on?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because sometimes I have been known to fashion what I call a foil barge. Where the cheese sort of floats around, or sort of orbits me as I'm sat there with some crackers, maybe on the soap stand.
You're a very tall man.
Yes.
So do you have a very, very long bath?
No, I just sort of sit.
Yeah, 4 hours.
What are you thinking?
4 hours is extreme, but I've been known to spend 2 hours.
I don't know.
I think 4 hours is too long.
Yeah, I think,
Too
4
long.
hours too long. I'd say lie.
It's a lie.
So it's a lie. OK, so Greg, truth or lie?
That is a true.
I once dumped my boyfriend on a plane, then parachuted straight out of the door to avoid dealing with the aftermath.
David's team.
Wow. So what was the plane? What was the context?
It was with the army. I was doing a sort of army exercise because I was being taken on by the Royal Engineers as a sapper, a celebrity sapper, and I had to detonate a bomb and all sorts of things. And one of the things was a parachute jump, and my boyfriend came with me sweetly.
Am I the only one who doesn't know what a sapper is?
No.
David,
like the army.
David has an awareness of the military. What is a sapper?
What do you mean I have an awareness of the military? A sapper is a sort of soldier.
Thank you. That's me.
Did you plan on breaking up with your boyfriend this trip?
It wasn't going well, and I thought I had been trying to work out the exact moment when it would be good, and he really wanted to come with me on the day, and to be honest, I wanted to go on my own because there's just going to be me and about
loads of soldiers.
1,000 soldiers.
We've all had days like that, Anneka.
And as the day progressed, I just got more and more annoyed that he was there. And then we went up in the aeroplane, and he just said, "I don't think things are really going well. You seem a bit distant today." And I just said, "I don't think it's working."
And the man in charge was thinking, I hope she doesn't mean the parachute.
Was he then going to follow you? Was your boyfriend jumping?
No, he didn't have a parachute.
Oh, right.
So he
I hope he didn't just out of instinct follow you. Come back.
Is your love admin, do you think, a reasonable use of our defence budget? I mean... what? I mean,
What was the altitude when you jumped?
I don't know.
Well, they didn't say.
Does 1,000 feet, 15... Who parachutes?
1,000 feet?
I would say 8 to 12 or something like that.
8 to 12 feet.
I find that quite challenging. What are you thinking? Is she telling the truth? Did this happen?
Well, I have one problem with this story, which is that if you're thinking you need to, end your relationship, that's potentially an embarrassing, awkward moment, something you might be inclined to put off. And one of the things, if I were you, I might be inclined to put it off until after, is the occasion when I have to jump out of an aircraft. Because
this is why there's never been a popular programme called Challenge Davies.
Well, yeah, but...
People would set you some brave challenges and you'd very calmly and rationally explain why you couldn't possibly do them.
But assuming, hypothetically, that I have agreed to jump out of an aircraft...
Yes.
Yeah.
I would not have that conversation just before I jumped out of the aircraft. I'd think, well, I might, look on the bright side, the fall might kill me, in which case I'd never have to have the conversation.
She did say that she hadn't planned to. It was because he said, you seem a bit distant.
Yes, but not as distant as she seemed a second later as she fell towards the ground.
Samson, what are you thinking?
I can't buy it. I would have just broken up with him on the ground.
I think it's almost certainly true.
Almost certainly true?
Yeah.
So what are you going to say, David?
I think it might be true.
Anneka, jumping out of a plane and breaking up, was it true or was it a lie?
It was a lie.
Oh!
When I worked in a school, I locked another teacher in a cupboard to teach him a lesson.
Oh. What did you teach?
Humanities.
Humanities? I thought you were going to say humans, then. Humanities. What age were the kids? I'm checking out your teaching credentials before we get to the other bit of the story.
Yeah, all good. Secondary school kids.
Secondary school?
Yeah,
and where in the country was this?
In the West Midlands.
West Midlands, right, OK. You're a teacher, aren't you? Does all that stack up?
I'm not anymore, Lee.
You used to be a teacher, didn't you?
I'm a well-known comedian.
Are you? I genuinely thought you were a celebrity teacher, and that's why you were here. I thought you were from that thing about teaching people in Yorkshire. Is that right? Oh.
Where did you do your teaching degree?
Never mind that. Where'd you do your comedy gigs? Why did you lock the other teacher in? Was it a cupboard?
Yeah, it was the humanities cupboard, yeah.
Why did you lock him in there?
Me and him had beef on site.
Had beef on what?
On site.
Is that a sandwich?
No. As soon as we locked eyes, I knew there was going to be an issue because he thought he was the most popular teacher amongst the kids. So I turned up at school, and within a week, I was the most popular teacher in school.
Big
he was
head.
very... Listen, I'm just saying...
What made you such a popular teacher?
I was like the Pied Piper of literacy. Kids would follow me around everywhere like, yo, third.
That is quite a claim. Pied Piper of literacy? In the humanities department?
That's correct.
Ignore humanities. Come and read my novel. those children.
Yeah, and so obviously the reputation's going around school, like, yeah, sir, taught me how to use full stops and that, he's a sick guy. So...
That is a sentence that has never been uttered by anybody under the age of 21. He taught me how to use full stops, he's a sick guy.
Yeah. How long did you lock him in a cupboard for?
Actually, here's part of the story that you need to know fundamentally. The reason why I chose him to lock him in the cupboard on that day is because I knew it would make him late for his lesson observation.
Observation?
Yes. So a lesson observation is essentially how teachers are judged on how good they are as teachers, yeah? It's not based on how you move these children on emotionally, spiritually, how you build them as human beings. It's a 15-minute window in which a waste man that can't teach themselves comes in and judges you. That's not right.
So you locked him in so he'd get into trouble on his
Yeah, I did. Should I tell you why?
Please do.
He started spreading a rumour amongst the senior leadership team that I wasn't marking my students' books.
Right. Is that bad?
I wasn't, but that's not the point. You know what I mean? Greg, no snitching on other teachers, right?
And what was the upshot of all of this? Did you let him out? Did he escape?
Is he still there?
No, I did let him out eventually. I just wanted to ensure that he was late for that lesson observation because that means you're looked upon very harshly by the senior leadership team that he had been snitching me out to. So, you know, fair, square, squares, you know what I'm saying?
If you were capable of locking a man in this cupboard, surely a kid could have got locked in there and it would have been a health and safety disaster.
Yeah, I banged a couple of them in there as well every now and then. But
All right, what are you thinking?
I'm saying it's true.
Lucy? Do you need rebooting?
I'm going to say it's a lie.
Are you?
I just find it implausible.
Do you believe people can have beef on site?
I'm persuadable. I don't feel so strongly about it.
Well, they say it's true.
You can say it's true. OK. Guz, were you just telling us the truth or were you telling us a lie?
I was telling...
I once broke into a convent and stole food from some nuns.
Please do.
When did this happen?
When I was hungry. Quite hungry. Which was when I was young and didn't have any money.
How young?
18, 19.
Was it just you, or was there anyone else involved?
A friend helped me.
And what did you steal?
I stole vegetables.
Vegetables?
Stole
When was
vegetables?
it? Is it the 19th century?
Oh, because that's nuns. Nuns grow things in gardens.
Well, they do on TV, but in real life they go to Asda.
All nuns grow vegetables.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No.
I can't imagine a nun not growing vegetables.
Yeah. If you can name a nun who doesn't grow vegetables, then go ahead.
Trevor Nunn.
What I did was, while she distracted them at the door, I snuck round into their garden, which they do have, it's not just on TV, and stole vegetables.
Dug them up?
No, you don't dig up all vegetables. There are some hanging.
Like what?
Beans.
You're milking a cow now. Is there a cow there as well? Don't worry, we'll get some milk while we're at it. So you lived near this nunnery?
No, we had to drive there.
Why, if you were poor, did you have a car?
She had a car.
Right, so...
How did you get 2 syllables out of poor? You almost got more syllables than there are letters.
How far was the car journey, Jennifer?
About 40 minutes, I suppose.
You drove for 40 minutes? That's doing a heist.
It was a heist.
It would have cost you more in petrol than to just go and buy potatoes and tomatoes.
Not in 1980, no. Petrol was quite cheap then.
What do you think? Does this sound as though it could be true?
No way.
Just if you think it's a lie, Joe,
Yeah.
which way?
Yeah, I think it's a lie.
I think it's true.
No.
Just the one syllable.
What, that you...
I was waiting for the rest of it.
What's it going to be?
I have to go with the majority, even though I feel it's true.
OK, they say it's a lie. Jennifer, were you telling the truth or were you telling a lie?
I was telling the truth.
I once spent a pleasant afternoon riding around topless on a motorbike.
Please, team.
Hang on. Where were you going on this motorbike?
That is the last question I'd have thought of.
Very practical.
Wow.
Yes, he's practical.
We've got different angles, me and you, haven't we?
Indeed, yes.
Who were you with?
A friend.
Was he riding in you at the back or the other way around?
I beg your pardon?
What was the man's name, Esme?
It was, Phil.
Phil. And what relationship were you to Phil?
He was my boyfriend.
So he was your boyfriend. When was this? I mean, just give us an approximation.
Oh, decades ago.
How many decades?
Oh, no.
No what?
Don't make us say that.
All right, which century?
The last century.
Is that worse?
Definitely worse.
I'm not good at these things. What about...
He's a very, very rude man.
What's he wearing?
I don't remember.
Well, let me rephrase the question. Did he have anything out?
Well, he had his arms out.
Can you first of all tell us why you decided to go to... Was it just because you were being devil may care?
Well, I'd been sunbathing.
Really?
Right.
In my knickers.
Just your knickers?
Well, no, actually, I had a scarf tied around my top.
Oh, and then you took that off on the motorbike. That's very dangerous. Could have got caught in the wheels.
I'll tell you what, if my idea earlier would have been that Phil had something out, he could have caught that in the wheels, couldn't he?
I don't know who this Phil is, but he's very impressive. You should never have done it.
So you are lying, sunbathing, and he suggests, why don't we go for a spin on the bike?
Yep.
You jump on the back of the bike, and at this point you've got the improvised bra thing on. So when you start riding, it's on. At what point in the journey did you decide to get rid of the scarf? And where did you put it?
Well, what happened is, because we were going so fast, the scarf fell round my waist.
You were holding on to him, I guess. So you weren't in a position to put it back on?
No.
And how long did this last?
About 45 minutes, an
45
hour.
minutes? Where was this in the world?
Surrey.
Oh. I know Surrey well.
Yeah.
Whereabouts in Surrey?
I think it was called Bug Hill.
Right.
Do you know Bug Hill?
Yeah.
Oh, OK.
I'll never forget, it's where I once saw a topless motorbike.
So I suppose, in a way, though, they're not totally exposed to the elements.
How big are they?
Well, I don't know.
So it's a very windy day if they're out there.
Tell you that...
Not very nice.
You were doing the size of them.
I wasn't going like...
You were doing this?
They weren't... I was actually gesturing. I don't know how big the scarf was. I don't know about these matters.
What are you thinking, Vicky?
I think it's true.
You think it's true as well?
I think she's a wild child.
I really enjoyed it. It felt like an episode of Heartbeat.
It did a bit, didn't it?
Yeah. I'm going to go with my team. If both my team members say it's
Well,
true.
it was my gut feeling.
OK, so you're saying that it's true.
OK.
Esme, was it the truth or was it a lie?
It was true.
Yeah! Before being allowed out to play... Very good. Before being allowed out to play, my mum used to write my address on my forehead in a felt tip pen.
What age were you?
Sort of 6, 7, 8.
So how many lines of the address, or was it just a postcode?
She wrote the house number. Yeah. And the name of the street.
Did any other mums in your street do the same thing, or were you the only...
I'd not returned home on a number of occasions and not found the house. And she said, if you do this again, I'm going to write the name of the house on your forehead.
I think the idea was that a neighbour or a kindly person would see it and say, come here, little fella.
Yeah.
I'll take you home.
What a foolproof scheme.
Some kindly fellow with a big black hat and a net. Lollipops, lollipops.
She had a cruel side to her.
So how many times did you, as it were, disappeared, and for how long?
Well, there's sort of 3 in a row.
And how many times in a row?
3.
Did you go away from your street and you couldn't remember where your street was, or could you not remember which house was yours?
It was a house.
You couldn't remember which house was yours?
The key was the house, because they were like span houses, and they all looked the same.
Right.
They all had pampas grass outside.
And you're wandering around on your own.
It's a swingers joke.
And... yeah, I've still got your keys, by the way. And you're wandering...
I've still got your wife.
I was wandering lonely as a cloud.
At 6 years old?
Yeah, 6, 7, 8.
And so how many times was the address felt tipped onto you?
I told you that, 3.
No, you told me that it was 3 occasions that you'd got lost, which led to the felt tipping policy. Now,
yeah,
this,
I remember
is what I call an inconsistency.
What do you do with your kids, Lee? Because you've got a young family. How do you keep track of them?
Well, I write on their head, but I put the wrong address on.
Kiri, do you think he's telling the truth?
I do, because his demeanour's changed and he's like a little boy who's been told off.
He's adorable, isn't he?
He is,
He's an actor as well.
Yeah.
Do we think it's true, do we? I think there was one thing that Simon said that made me think it was true, and that was, you said, like, your mum was a bit spiteful or something like that. You thought that's one of the reasons why she did.
She's going to enjoy this when she watches it.
Yeah, it is a shaming thing.
Yeah, it is, absolutely.
This idiot doesn't know where he lives.
Now that Jeremy Kyle's gone, we've got a new show to replace him.
So you're going to say it's...
we're going to say it's true.
OK, you're saying it's true. Simon, was it true
that my mother used to write my address on my forehead when I was 6 or 7 was a lie?
I once had to break into my own flat halfway through a haircut.
David. Oh, interesting. So, tell us the scenario.
I was having a haircut.
Where were you having a haircut?
On the doorstep of my flat.
Now, that's an unusual location to have a haircut.
You know why? Because he didn't want to clean the hair that was on the floor in the flat, so it's outside, so just to push it...
Yeah, I can understand why you might
have... The more work you can do for me, Fred, the more... thank you very much. Yes, that's why.
Why weren't you in a hairdresser's or barber shop?
Do you want to take this one, Fred? Appreciate that. Didn't have much money at the time, and my flatmate was pretty sure that she could cut my hair. She was pretty confident.
But why outside?
Because if you do it inside, you've got to sweep up all the hair. It's too messy. We thought if we did it outside, we wouldn't have to do that.
But was there a plug?
Huh?
Was there a plug outside? Was it clippers, scissors?
Oh, it was just scissors. That's all we had.
So it was an acoustic, as it were.
Yeah, it was an acoustic haircut, unplugged session.
What was the haircut?
Well, it was meant to be something close to this, but as it got interrupted halfway through, so it ended up that it was short at the front, short at the back, and kind of like that at the side, like quite long. Like someone took a mullet and went like that.
Yeah.
So she wasn't trained as a hairdresser?
In no way, shape or form.
And you did not mind that she was going to cut your hair?
It was an adventure.
Were you high?
Was I?
High?
No, we were on the bottom of the flat. We were...
I love that.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you very much.
They don't respect this kind of stuff, but I love that.
Now, you said that you were interrupted. What was the interruption?
Oh, well, we realised that we'd locked ourselves out the flat because a cat wanted to get in the front door. Asked each other, you got your keys? Neither of us had brought our keys out.
Was it your cat?
No, it wasn't our cat. It was just a cat wanted to get in the door, and we weren't going to be like, who you visiting?
So this is not the door to your flat. This is a door to the block of flats.
Yeah, we were outside, like outside.
So which floor did you live in?
I think we're on the 3rd floor.
So how did you get up there?
We asked some builders for a ladder. I asked them first, and they said no. And then my friend asked them, and they said yes. At the time, I was all like, I was a bit stupid, and I was like, they're just letting you because you're a girl. And then she pointed out, you've got half a haircut and no shoes on.
Did you consider, when you noticed you've been locked out,
yes.
did you consider finishing the haircut before trying to get back in?
I had to be in central London quite soon for a gig, and my wallet and everything was in the flat. I wouldn't be able to travel there, so I needed to act now. So I couldn't finish the haircut. Luckily, I'm a comic and I'm allowed to look silly.
All right, what are you thinking?
I don't think so. Why would you get somebody to cut your hair with scissors? I mean, if it was clippers and you had a haircut like me, I'd understand, but with scissors...
I mean, it's got to be a lie.
My team think it's a lie. I can see why they think it's a lie.
You're happy to go with
we're
lie?
happy to go with lie.
OK. James, were you telling the truth, or was it a lie?
I was telling the truth.
Possession.
Under the desk, there is a box. Could you pop the box onto the desk, and before you show us what's in there, read the card out.
The object in this box is on display in my bathroom, but I'm too scared to touch it. For that reason, David will now reveal it.
David, could you take out what's in the box?
Oh, OK.
Yeah.
Is that a tarantula?
Yeah. I got it when I went on a course.
What course?
If you don't like spiders. And then that is your, party bags. Like party bags.
I see, a phobia course.
Yeah.
You can put it down if you like. We've seen a lot of it, and we don't want to scare people.
So, the course was, what, a week long? 2 weeks?
No, it was like a full day.
And how did you find out about this course? Where was it? I don't say on the web. I'm not going to accept that.
I'd heard about it. The word on the street. Are you scared? Are you nervous?
Yeah. So you go for this course.
You go for this course, and then at the end, what they say...
Never mind the end. How does it start?
OK, welcome. That's how...
Not literally how does it start. I don't want every bit of detail. Just tell us the first thing they do to overcome the fear of spiders.
So they come in and...
No, you go back to the beginning bit again. I don't want the coming in bit, because now you've gone further back than the hello bit.
They say, thank you for coming. What's quite nice is that you're with other people who are scared of these little creatures, so you all find bonding, like, hi, I'm Claudia, I'm scared. Big ones or little ones or furry ones or, archy ones. You know, there are all kinds of different...
Spiders.
Yes.
And... what do they do? And I'm only going to ask you one more time, Claudia. What do they do?
No, what they do. OK, good. I'll tell you what they said on the course, which was absolutely compelling, which was, you are not alone.
You're not alone. There are spiders everywhere.
Did they do sort of aversion therapy, perhaps, where you were confronted with spiders?
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
Never give them the answers.
That is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
We had to meet spiders.
Right.
Correct. And
you've just been fed that information, and that's the first...
No,
after you've answered every question so far, they said hello. Yeah. On this course, they say hello 13 times.
And then even when you get to the aversion therapy, it's still a form of hello, because you get to meet some spiders.
Can you tell us one thing they did on the course?
Oh, we all had we had a lovely lunch.
What did they do?
One technique that they did. Anything.
We met them and we made
Did you get to hold them?
And they were crawling on us and, being all cuddly and soft.
But you're not saying the cuddly stuff because you're still scared of them.
Oh, yeah, I am still scared.
I mean, this has got to be the worst lie in the history of this programme.
So, what do you think? Is Claudia telling the truth?
I think that she's lying, and if she's telling the truth, I'm not having it. Because if she's telling the truth, she is contractually obliged to tell us something, as opposed to every question being answered with, hello, and then you in there, and cuddly, warm, all over, and I just, with the thing, and I can't because it is, and that's the way we are on the road. That doesn't constitute an answer, does it?
It's definitely a lie. Goodbye. It's a lie.
You're saying a lie. OK, so, Claudia Winkleman, were you telling the truth or were you telling a lie?
It is totally true.
I was once dragged into the headmaster's office after I was caught leaning out of a window and firing a cream egg into my friend's mouth with a catapult.
Was this when you were a teacher or a pupil?
I'm ashamed to say it was when I was a teacher.
So, can you describe the setup?
I was teaching in a drama studio on the ground floor, and I could see my friend who was teaching economics on the second floor at the end of the building.
So it's across... Is there, like, a courtyard in between?
Yeah, playground.
Playground. And...
You went to different schools, didn't you?
Did the moat not get in the way, or was it... Right, goody, the bell's gone, let's go to the courtyard.
OK, You're firing over the croquet lawn.
I'd confiscated a catapult that morning from a child.
OK.
I was in my drama studio. There's an office. I closed the door and let the children do whatever they used to do in my lessons. And I hung out of the window. I saw my friend, Gavin.
Yeah.
And I went... It was the height of summer.
Right.
So Gavin is in the middle of an economics lesson, and he goes, oh, there's my friend. Gosh, he's holding an unwrapped cream egg. And he goes...
It wasn't quite that instinctive. I waved the catapult at him, and he was baffled at first. And then I could see him distracting his children by setting them some mundane task. Then I revealed the unpeeled egg.
Which, by now, by the way, hashtag height of summer, melting. They melt very fast.
Here's the thing, Claudia. I genuinely had a mini fridge in my office because... I did, because I regularly abused the drama budget. I'm sorry, but I was very bored. I bought a mini fridge. And just to add colour, I'll tell you this, I bought a top-of-the-range DVD player and I swapped it for one that my grandmother had given me. Took a really nice one home. Separate story.
Can we say that we believe that story?
That's the story. I've got a technical question about the window.
Yeah.
Good.
Because in schools, windows only open to a very small certain point, so the kids can't jump
Especially
out.
on the second floor.
Wow, how rough was the old school that you taught?
Really bad.
You couldn't, only in case they jumped out.
Yeah, just in case they jumped out and drowned in the moat. So basically... you've got that window will only open to a certain point.
Yeah. Right. The window did only open half, so Gav had to get on his knees and position his head. His head virtually filled the amount of window that was open. It was a slide-up window.
Where was the headmaster at this point? Walking through playground/courtyard?
He was in his office, I imagine, pretending to do work.
Oh.
And here is the thing that will convince you one way or the other straight away. Gavin... I would say it was 25 foot, and Gavin did catch it in his mouth.
What are they saying?
You lot are going to feel so stupid if that's a lie.
What do you think, David's team? Does it ring true for you?
I do believe the lie is being packaged with real stuff. So, confiscation of the
mini fridge is true.
Yeah.
True.
The confiscation,
everything around the lie is true, but the lie is still a lie.
OK, let's go.
We'll go lie.
You're saying it's a lie. Greg, was it the truth or was it a lie?
There were elements of truth, but yes, damn you, it was a lie.
I was once unable to wave at Prince Charles because I was holding a wounded seagull.
Please, team.
Is that your nickname for David?
I think it might be.
First of all, why were you holding a wounded seagull?
I was taking it to a vet.
Right.
Can I ask, where was this and what was the event that Prince Charles was attending?
It was in London. I saw him out of the window of my car.
You were driving?
Initially, the seagull was on the passenger seat.
Right.
But it got a bit jumpy.
I've seen you drive.
So I picked it up because I was worried it would flap around the car.
So basically you're driving like Rod Hull?
It was wrapped in a blanket.
Why did you have an injured seagull in your car?
I'd seen an injured seagull in the road.
Yeah.
And I picked it up to take it to a vet. Prince Charles was standing on the steps of a town hall, a grand building, and he waved, I suppose...
He waved at you?
Well, I think he was waving more generally. I felt I should wave, but that would have required letting go of the seagull.
Did the seagull get treated by the vet? Did the seagull recover? Do you know where the seagull is now?
To keep in touch. He's here tonight.
The vet practice accepted the seagull for treatment. I don't know what became of it.
And then you just left him there?
Yes.
Well, let me tell you what happened to that seagull. And before you got back into your car... Sorry, that was a duck.
Can I just ask you a question? Have you hosted a light entertainment programme before?
They were very nice about it. I said I found this little creature in the road. I let them keep the blanket.
How sentimental was the blanket?
Not very.
So what does David hold now when he's stressed?
Have you always had a soft spot for wounded animals?
Yes.
All right. What do you think, Asim? Is she telling the truth?
I kind of want to believe it because it's a lovely story, but I don't know.
If he really waved at her, she's dropping the seagull, she's waving back. So at least she'd have lifted the seagull a bit and gone...
Going, look, can't wave, seagull.
Don't worry, it's not a swan.
So what's it going to be, Lee?
Say it's a lie.
You're going to say it's a lie. OK. Victoria, were you just telling us the truth, or were you telling us a lie?
It was true.
Whoa! Victoria doesn't know this. But on those very rare occasions that she does something I find irritating, I get my own back by sneaking upstairs and moving her bookmarks.
Please, T.
When you say Victoria doesn't know this, surely when she goes to the book to read the book and she goes where the bookmark is, there must be lots of instances where she's thinking, am I losing my mind? I'm not following this book. Or
Yes, that's exactly what she thinks.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
Victoria, when you're reading a book, do you ever sometimes have that feeling of being lost? Do you ever have
I
a
have
feeling
sometimes opened a book and thought I didn't think that's where I was.
How many books are you reading at the same time?
I mean, 7 or 8.
David, how many books does Victoria read at the same time?
Oh, I'd put it between 6 and 9.
And do they tend to be fiction, non-fiction?
Yes, those are the main two.
And what are the things you said, sometimes rare occasions, Victoria does something that...
I don't want to go into that.
No, I mean, far away.
No, I don't want to go into that.
What sort of things are we talking about?
No, just behavioural things. just the simplest things to do with things she's said or done. That's
Maybe when I ask you what the weather's going to be like, and I go, what do you think it's going to be? And you go, I don't think anything. I've looked at the weather forecast, and what it says is this.
Little things like, yeah. Essentially, she holds me responsible for the weather forecast, as if I've made it.
No, she doesn't. She says, what do you think the weather's going to do? Perfectly reasonable.
It's not perfectly reasonable.
What?
She's got access to the weather forecast on her own phone. It's just, these are meteorologists. Sometimes they get it right, sometimes they get it wrong. I'm just reading it out.
They are physically sitting further apart, have you noticed?
Is there anything, Victoria, that you might do to David if he'd annoyed you? What would your retaliation be if, indeed, he is moving...
Well, he might find out.
Incidentally, I've been feeling weaker and weaker over the...
OK, what are you going to say?
I believe in their relationship. I must be just the most naive person here because I want to...
in it.
I am. I'm emotionally invested in their relationship, and I do think David's a nice guy, and I don't think he would do that because that really would upset her.
So what we're saying is if it's true, it's a really unpleasant thing and a really bad indictment on their marriage.
Yes.
Well, this has taken a nasty turn, hasn't it?
What's it going to be? I don't want it to be true, but...
Oh, I do.
You think it's...
I want his life to fall apart. This would be such fun.
I think it's true. I don't want it to be true. I'm trying to, see the real person. I think he's a nice guy.
Now, the David I know, I don't think this is unpleasant enough.
Well, you know him way more
Yeah, but
than
also,
we know.
David doesn't like you. He will not. So, it's a different relationship.
That's true, yeah. But he doesn't hate me, right?
No. Even though, Lee, you on television have said you want my marriage to fall apart, I still find you an adequate colleague.
Can I ask you a question, David?
Yeah.
Are you still writing for Clinton cards?
It's time to decide. What are you going to say?
I'm going to say true, but I don't want it to be true.
It can't.
sorry.
It's a lie.
It's got to be a lie because it's an awful, awful thing to do.
It is.
You're saying it's a lie.
I really
Because
hope it's a
nobody
lie.
would do that.
If this is the truth, it's awful.
It really is. They're saying it's a lie. David, is it true or is it a lie?
It is a lie.
I once stripped naked, then accidentally climbed into bed with my father-in-law.
Lucy,
were you drunk?
Yes.
Was it his bed or was it a spare bed in your house?
It was our bedroom in our house, and they'd been babysitting. And so I noticed another presence in the bed, which I assumed to be my wife.
Yeah.
And
well,
so
lovely thing to say about your wife.
Well, sorry, love, it's just that you look like, your dad. It was dark. It was dark. She'd gone to bed before me, and she said, watching telly,
What were you watching, just out of interest?
I can't remember that.
What time was it?
4 o'clock in the morning.
4 o'clock in the morning, probably repeats of this on Dave.
So this is your bed. Where were you then? Were on sofas downstairs?
No, we were in the spare room.
So that's lovely. You've given up your superior bed for the in-laws.
Yeah.
Lee, what do you do when your in-laws come round?
I make up a really lovely, lovely bed with lovely silk sheets and a lovely thing and put that in the shed.
So you've come into bed. You think that your wife, she's gone ahead of you.
I thought it should be spark out,
Spark out in the bed.
Yeah, and I've often done this journey in the dark. So she's often in bed before me.
Yes.
And I know what to do. I can do it in the dark. With the clothes off, round the side of the bed, leap in, give her a snuggle.
Oh, did you give her a snuggle?
I went to give her a snuggle.
Oh, no, naked?
Naked.
Which way was he facing?
Thank God he was the other way. I spooned him.
You spooned him?
Like that makes it better. I think it's worse.
I think you'd have to have done it both ways to know which was worse.
That's true.
Were you spooning in the way you spoon when you want to have a cuddle as you go to sleep? Or were you spooning in a way which was hoping to just nudge her awake?
Luckily...
There's a subtle difference between those two.
I know that's all different. But luckily I wasn't quite that excited yet.
Yes!
No. Oh, my word. It's quick, though. I mean, honestly, I whip it back, the thing, I jump in, I go for the spoon, and as I'm sort of approaching the body in the bed, I hear John, and I literally flew out of bed, and then the lamp went on, and I'm trying to put my underpants back on.
Oh, you're completely naked?
Yeah, the whole thing. I'm trying to get my underpants twisted, fell over. It was like a comedy. It was ridiculous.
Why would you go to the effort of trying to put your underpants on in front of them?
Because I was naked.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't do it in front of them. This is right.
Just grab them and leave.
That's the sort of strategic decision you make when you're used to doing that. You can very easily think, I both want to leave and dress myself and make the mistake of trying to do the two things at once.
Yeah. And what happened in terms of the father-in-law?
He was very, very lovely about it, and he went, one too many last night? And I went, yeah. And that was it.
What are you thinking? Is it striking you as true?
That's definitely possible. I believe he has issues with alcohol.
I'm going true.
You're saying true?
Yeah, I'm.
OK. I will go with my team and blame them.
And say it's true. OK. John, were you telling us the truth, or were you telling us a lie?
It is, in fact, sadly, true.
I once ignored a fireman's order to evacuate a building because I assumed he was just a bloke in fancy dress.
Please, team.
OK, when was this?
When I was at university in 1841.
Were you the only person who didn't leave?
No, I don't think so. It was a student party. It was sort of fancy dress.
Oh, you were all in fancy dress?
OK. Yeah.
What had you gone as?
I think I took a pretty easy option and I went as a Roman.
Well, what were you wearing?
Yeah.
A sheet.
It's not a Roman.
Oh, not a Roman soldier, just someone who's around in the Roman era.
A senator, not a centurion.
A Roman or a ghost?
So, first of all, where was the fire? Was it in your room?
Well, it was a fire alarm. I wasn't in the proper party, but I was in my room with the door shut.
So how did the firefighter get in touch with you if you were locked away in your own room?
Well, he banged on the door and went, "Fire service."
With all due respect to your sheet, you must have been quite impressed with his costume.
I was.
How did the conversation go?
Right, I was in my room with someone else. We were busy.
Who were you?
Is this how the fire started? Because I know what you're like, Joe. You like to set fire to them.
Actually, we were revising.
Oh, right. What was he dressed as? You were a Roman. What was this other person?
He wasn't dressed as anything.
So there's a banging. And
there's a banging on the door.
And you stand up. Now, Joe, I expect better of David,
Rob.
who was the first person to titter. Let's try and have a level tonight, please. Joe, there was a banging.
On the door.
Banging,
yes.
banging, banging, banging. And then you heard the door. What happened?
What happened was this guy shouted, "Fire, please leave the building," right?
Yes.
So I just thought it was some drunk bloke mucking about.
Yes, yes.
So I said, "Could you please go elsewhere?"
What was your gentleman caller's reaction? Or was he still unconscious?
My gentleman caller was the same as me, very entertained.
What do you think, Henning? Is she telling the truth, yeah?
There is a few inconsistencies in that song.
Like?
Well, the thing about the fire, I don't believe.
We can stop there, then.
It's not, to be fair, an inconsistency, is it? There's nothing inconsistent about it. It's just it either happened or it didn't. It's not like a fire and I was in a lake. That would be an inconsistency.
So you're picking holes in Henning's command of the English language. Yeah. Perhaps we should continue the rest in German to give him a fighting chance, yeah? Simon, what are you thinking?
Part of me thinks it could possibly be a lie.
You're going to say lie because you think that the story has got inconsistencies?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to annoy David now.
I think I go with Simon.
So you're going to say it's a lie?
Oh, absolutely. With them kind of inconsistencies.
OK. Joe, were you telling us the truth or were you telling a lie?
It was, in fact, the truth.
I consider myself a train vigilante. And
I don't think you need to read anymore.
And enjoy clamping down on passengers who break my strict code of conduct.
David. OK. What's the code of conduct, Henning?
I just think when you travel on public transport, you have to consider others.
Oh, was it... You consider yourself a train vigilante or trained vigilante?
No, train.
Train.
Oh, train.
I thought you said train.
No, I thought you said train.
Yeah.
Would you, for the sake of some of the dimmer panellists, would you read it again, please?
I thought you said trained.
I have to be honest, I thought you said trained as well.
I think maybe you did say trained vigilante. How many people here think you said trained?
Would you please read it again?
Brexit doesn't make me leave, but you lot definitely. I consider myself a choo-choo vigilante and enjoy clamping down on passengers who break my strict code of conduct.
It's interesting you said clamping down. What would you clamp down on?
What I would consider out of orderness.
So can we just run a couple past you?
Yeah.
Someone with their feet up on the seat.
They might get a stern look.
OK.
What else don't you like? Give him another example.
So imagine I'm sitting there. Imagine I'm sort of a large, threatening figure.
My God, David, give us a minute.
And I'm playing some... You know, some frightening popular music. Yeah, absolutely. Some Rachmaninoff. And it's very loud on my phone there in front of me. What do you say to me?
I'll do the music, right? You can nod your head, and you, Henning, can walk over and tell him. OK? So first of all...
What I do is...
I haven't started the music yet.
Rachmaninoff, yeah?
It's Rap-maninoff.
Train speed it up.
And...
Rob. That's beatboxing, that's not rap. Sorry. Am I right?
I get up in the morning and I have some tea. I like to drink some tea.
That's not rapping either.
And that's not... And also, rhyming is not the same if you just use the same words I like to have some tea because I like to have tea.
I was under a lot of pressure.
You ever thought of doing the new Eminem film? You can have a proper battle.
I see a really imposing figure.
Yeah, that's me.
For now, just stay there.
I'll have a look what the numbers are. And the rest of the carriage. How confident I am. Nah, he's too big.
All right, Kiri, do you think that Henning's been telling the truth?
No. No, of course not. I think it would take a lot of confidence to walk over to someone on any train carriage and just say to a stranger, be quiet. I don't think... I mean, in the nicest possible way, I don't think you've got it in you.
I agree with Kiri. I think probably not, actually.
You think not? Oh. I think we don't think it's true.
No.
You're going to say it's a lie?
Yeah.
OK. Henning, were you telling the truth or were you telling a lie?
Well, to the best of my knowledge, this story is true.
While trying to bring history to life, I reduced a child to tears.
David's tea.
OK. How did you reduce the child to tears?
Well, it's quite a long story. I was...
Well, at least you're rattling through it.
What a supportive team captain you are.
Don't be bullied by him, Lucy. But do get on with it.
We were in Birmingham making a history documentary about chamber pots. And we were in little houses where working people had lived in the 19th century. And I was in bed with my chamber pot and...
What?
I'm assuming this is for, as it were, a scene in the documentary.
Yes,
this wasn't the accommodation for
That's
the...
right. And in the bed with me were a load of kids from the local school.
Huh?
And they were very quiet and very shy.
Well, it was an odd situation for them, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I was trying to explain to them what a chamber pot was. And inside the chamber pot, to make it more... believable. We had put some ginger beer.
Oh.
OK.
We were expecting worse, be honest.
Yeah.
You had the chamber pot
I had the
full
chamber
of ginger
pot
beer.
full of ginger beer,
Yes.
and I was showing it
Full?
to these...
Brimming?
Had you warmed it up to make it really realistic?
Why are you crying?
They're not crying yet.
So you showed them the
I
ginger
showed
beer?
them it, and they were still got nothing back. They were just looking a bit kind of frightened. And in desperation, I drank the ginger beer. And that's when they started crying.
Was it not a horrible moment when the producer came up to you as you were doing it and said, "We couldn't get any ginger beer"?
How many children were there in the bed?
7 or 8, and they all started crying and had to be
All
taken
of them
away.
started to cry.
They had
Well,
to
of
be taken away
course
by
they
their
did.
chaperone.
A woman had just drunk 5 pints of wee in front of them.
I drank it purely to get a reaction.
So they're sobbing.
Yeah.
You're quite windy after drinking 5 pints. You're like, "Ugh, sorry, gang."
I love it's
You know,
become fact that it was 5 pints.
You damn.
It would be quite a slow process. Essentially, more than a yard of ginger beer.
What was the name of the programme? Chamber Pots - A Closer Look.
It was called If Walls Could Talk, An Intimate History of Your Home.
Oh, damn, I missed it.
True.
You see, that's... Yeah,
I think
that's
that
you
came
said,
out
you
very fast.
Yeah, early on, this was a history of the chamber pot, which doesn't sound plausible, but the chamber pot was one of the elements of the 19th century home. That's more plausible.
All right. What are you thinking?
I'm
not
happy
sure.
to say true, and if it's a lie, so be it.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
I can live with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
You're going to say
true. We're going to say true, and when it turns out to be a lie, we can live with
We'll
it.
all be fine.
All right. Lucy, were you telling the truth or were you telling a lie?
Credulous fools. Actually, I am telling the truth.
Ah!